Hi, I'm Aim, and welcome back. So, it's been like over a month since I posted my intro video. You know, the completely stagnant, horrible one. But I'm back, and hopefully not 100% monotone this time, so yay! Now, the reason it's taken me so long to post another video is mostly because I couldn't decide on what I wanted to do. I'm a jack of all trades, and I wanted to figure out what I wanted to focus on. If you did happen to watch that abominable intro video, I mentioned that I would pretty much be doing anything and everything, but I wanted to know at the very least how to start. And that's where I landed on the idea to start with starting. More specifically, starting a story. I knew pretty early on one of the main focuses of my channel would be some form of writing advice, so why not begin with it? So today I'm going to be explaining step by step how you can start writing your own book or really any form of story. Disclaimer, this is 100% just my experience and what works for me, so take this with a grain of salt. There are many different ways to do things, so don't get set with my process if something else works for you. Now, step 1, the idea phase or daydreaming. This is quite possibly the most important step of the process and cannot be skipped under any circumstances. It's also the part that many creatives never get past. Because why write down this absolutely gorgeous scene between characters when you can watch it 1,000 times over in your head, making teensy little adjustments along the way? Dreaming about your story is how it always starts. If you don't have an idea or connection to what you want to do, why are you doing it? Before you start, you need an idea. It could be as simple as a single sentence or as large as making up an entire fantasy world and this whole epic tale about a dynasty that's once ruled over the land but fell when, well, you get the point. You just need a foundation block to build the rest of your story and its world on top of. You could even just start with a character. Since the characters in your world will make up most of the story, you can literally start with them. Just by figuring out what types of outfits your characters will wear will set the tone for the entire setting around them. And this is actually normally how I start. I make some form of amazing, concerningly traumatized little guy and build everything else on top of them. The OC I will personally be using as an example for this is Natalie, and she's actually who you're seeing me speed paint in the background. Nat was the first thing I thought of when making one of my ongoing projects called Redemption and Ruination. And the reason I thought of her first is because I wanted to base the rest of the world and struggles the characters were going to face off of her. Nat is an 18-year-old mind reader currently finishing up her senior year of high school. And quite possibly my first thought while making her was I wanted her to hate men, or at least distrust of them greatly. So guess what I did with the world? I made her attend a sketchy as heck public school where the guys are constantly thinking horrible things about the women there. It's perfect! You can base the world off what the character is as a person. So, like, you can put them in bad situations and make it really fun for yourself. In other words, if you have an addiction to making characters and you don't really know what to do with them, you can just make a story off of their personality and what they like. It's not that hard to make them the building block for your story. Step 2, brain dump. After deciding a basic idea of what I would want to do with creating characters, I do what I call a brain dump. Some people call it mind vomit and a few other things, but those are kind of gross to me, so I'll just stick with brain dump. This step is somehow both the easiest and the hardest for me, since I know what I want, but at the same time, other things also seem like important details, but then they clash and I have a mental breakdown and Anyways, all you really have to do for this step is open a new document or pull out a piece of paper and just messily write down all your ideas. I will say, if you have an app like Grammarly installed, it will hate you during this phase because I promise nothing will be spelled correctly. And you will be writing sentences like, she hate him, but love could maybe not perhaps come, which is not English, but I have definitely written way worse sentences than that in the brain dump phase. The main goal is to just get all your ideas out on paper for you to look at and decide what you want to change. You can even highlight what ideas you really like to differentiate. I can't talk. Differentiate? Differentiate. I don't know how to pronounce that word. Why did I write it in my script? Differentiate. Differentiate? Is that how you pronounce it? Okay. From other ones you're kind of iffy about. There's not really a finite process for this part of writing a story. It's more of throwing everything you got out haphazardly and seeing what you have to work with. Step 3. Drawing/mood board. Is this technically a needed step? No, it's not. But I like to do it. Now, before ever starting, and perhaps this is why it takes so long for me to actually get to the writing part, I like to draw all my main characters. People like the protagonist, antagonist, love interest if there is one, and very close friends of the protagonist. To help with this, I have a board on Pinterest where I have set it sectioned off to the names of my characters and what book they're from, and just throw different characteristics in there for them to have. Everything from basic stuff to hair color and eye color to what specific accessories they carry on their person. Once again, this isn't a needed step, but it definitely helps me visualize everything and who I'm writing about. Step 4. Chapter planning. This is definitely a more boring part of the process, and for most people, you kind of want to skip it, but don't. If you just dive headfirst in without thinking, please stop for a second and hear me out. Chapter planning is definitely more of a novel term, since depending on what kind of media you're using for your story, this could work differently, but in the end, it's figuring out the timeline. What part of the story goes where? I normally figure out how many chapters I want, and then I break up the big main parts of the story into their respective chapters/time slots before putting in all the other chapters. And let me just say this. Anytime you think you can just have maybe a few filler chapters, stop. In the end, it's better to sit and think for a while about something meaningful that actually adds to the plot than be like, well, this is a chapter where they go shopping when the story is completely unrelated. This is the part where you clean up your brain dump into concise sections that refine what you really want to add and what's important. So no matter how much you want to skip it, actually knowing what you're going to write about before writing it will save a lot of time. Now the next step is to just write. I might do another video on how to approach that process, but for now, I hope this helped and you enjoyed this video. Subscribe if you did, and see you in the next one. Bye!